Chapter 26, continued. So I think we're going to do this in 2 parts, but maybe 3. So this is the second part of chapter 26. Vladimir's talking now. Excuse me, I couldn't hold out any longer. What's this about being compelled? You do something like that and you still want to be treated as a normal human being? Quote, I am man, a human being, a woman. Anastasia's agitation was clearly noticeable as she explained, I only wanted, and I still only want, the good. I only want light. I want you to be purified. That is why I thought back then about your trip to holy places, about the book. They have accepted this, and the forces of darkness are always fighting with them, but never have the dark forces scored a major victory. Quote, and what about you, I countered. With all your intelligence, information, and energy, are you just going to stand and watch from the sidelines? Quote, in a confrontation on this scale between 2 great principles, my own efforts count for precious little. Help is going to be needed from many others in your world. I shall seek them out and find them, just as I did that time when you were in the hospital. Only you need to develop a little more of that conscious awareness. You need to overcome the bad within yourself. Quote, I'd like to know what's so bad within myself. What did I do wrong when I was in the hospital? And how could you have treated me when you weren't there beside me? Quote, back then, you simply did not feel my presence, but I was right there with you. When you were on the ship, I brought you a little branch of the ringing cedar which Mama had broken off before she died. I left it in your cabin when you invited me in. You were ill even then. I could feel it. Do you remember the branch? Yes, I replied. In fact, that branch hung on the wall of my cabin for some time. Many of my crew noticed it and brought it back, and I brought it back to Novosibirsk. But I didn't pay any attention to it. Quote, you simply threw it out. Quote, but I had no idea. Quote, no, you had no idea. You threw it out, and Mama's branch did not succeed in overcoming your illness. Then you went into the hospital. When you get back, take a close look at the history of your illness. If you check the chart, you will see that in spite of taking the very best medicine available, there was no improvement. But then they gave you some cedar nut oil. Now, according to strict prescription regulations, the doctor was not supposed to do that, but she did it, in spite of the fact that there was not a single mention of it in your medical prescription guide, and nothing of the sort had ever been done before. Do you remember? Yes? You were being treated by a woman who is a sector head in one of the best clinics in your city. But this sector had nothing to do with your particular illness. She left you there, even though just 1 floor up there was another sector specifically corresponding to your illness, right? Yes. She would prick you with needles and turn on some music in the half-darkened room. Anastasia's account was in complete accord with what had actually happened to me. Do you remember this woman? Yes. She was in charge of a sector in the former district council hospital. And then, all at once, Anastasia, her eyes fixed intently on me, spoke several disconnected phrases which immediately shocked me and caused a shiver to run through my whole body. Quote, what kind of music do you like? Fine. Like that? Not too loud? Unquote. She spoke these phrases in exactly the voice and with the intonation used by the sector head who treated me. Anastasia, I exclaimed. She didn't let me finish. Quote, keep listening. Do not be shocked, for God's sakes. Do try to make sense of everything I am telling you. Get your mind forces working, at least a little. It's all very easy, you see, for man. And then she went on, quote, this woman doctor, she is very good. She's a real doctor. I got along with her very well. She is kind and forthright. It was I who did not want you to be transferred to the other sector. That sector would have corresponded to your particular illness, but hers did not. She requested her supervisors to leave you with her, assuring them that she would take care of you. She felt up to it. She knew your pains were simply the result of something else, and she tried to counteract that something else. She is a doctor. And how did you behave? You kept on smoking and drinking to your heart's content, eating salty and spicy foods, and that in spite of your serious ulcer. You did not deny yourself anything in the way of pleasure. Somehow your subconscious got a message even though you were not aware of it. That there was nothing terribly wrong with you, that nothing would happen to you. I'm going to read that sentence again. Somehow your subconscious got a message, even though you were not aware of it, that there was nothing terribly wrong with you, that nothing would happen to you. Quote, I did not accomplish anything good, rather the opposite. The darkness in your consciousness did not lessen, nor did your will or sense of awareness improve. When you regained your health, you sent one of your employees to thank the woman who saved your life. You yourself did not call her, not even once. She was waiting for you to call. She had such a feeling of love for you. She or you, Anastasia? Quote, we, if that is clearer to you. I got up and for some reason took a few steps away from Anastasia, who was sitting on a fallen tree. The mixed up state of my feelings and thoughts caused her even greater uncertainty as to how I should think about her. The mixed-up state of my feelings and thoughts caused even greater uncertainty as to how I should think about her. Quote, now look, once again you are not understanding how I do things. You are becoming confused. But it is a simple thing to grasp. I do things with the help of my imagination and my ability to analyze possible situations. And now you have started thinking ill of me again. She fell silent, her head resting on her knees, and I stood there too without saying a word, thinking, what's she doing there? Talking away and saying all sorts of incredible things at the same time. She keeps on talking, and yet she's concerned that her sayings are not being understood. It's clear she has no idea that any normal person would not accept them, and so would not accept her as a normal person. Still, I went over to Anastasia and brushed her cascading braids of hair from her face. Tears were rolling down her cheeks from her large, bluish-gray eyes. She smiled and said something quite uncharacteristic. Quote, she's just another one of those soppy females, eh? Right now, you are overwhelmed by the very fact of my existence and do not believe your eyes. You do not fully believe, and you cannot even make sense of what I am telling you. You find both my existence and my abilities amazing. You have completely ceased accepting me as a normal human being, as man, but believe me, I am a human being and not a witch. You consider my life, my way of life amazing, but why does not a certain something else seem just as amazing, even paradoxical to you? Why do people admit the earth to be a celestial body, the greatest creation of the supreme mind, with each system component as his greatest achievement, and then go tear this system apart and devote so much effort to its destruction?